human history is full of bizarre cures. And at some point, people truly believed that poison, corpses, and electricity could fix everything. Number 8. Radithor, the radioactive water cure. Picture yourself in the 1920s. You're wealthy, stylish, and, of course, very health conscious. A new miracle drink just hit the market. Radithor. Sleek packaging. Scientific-sounding name. And yes, it proudly contains pure radium. That's right, radium. The radioactive element that glows in the dark. Back then, people believed a little atomic energy could boost your vitality, keep you young, maybe even make you immortal. Sounds wild now, but at the time, radiation wasn't seen as dangerous. On the contrary, it represented cutting-edge science and modern strength. One man in particular was obsessed. Eben Byers, a millionaire, athlete, and fashion icon. He drank 3 bottles of Radithor a day, for years. At first, he felt amazing, energetic, practically invincible. But then, his bones began to rot, his teeth fell out, his jaw disintegrated. Eventually, he died in agony. His body was so radioactive, it had to be buried in a lead-lined coffin. And just like that, the glowing dream of radioactive healing died with him. The moral of the story? If something glows in the dark, it probably shouldn't go in your mouth. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button. Every new subscriber gives me a huge boost to keep creating more awesome content like this. Number 7. Mummy powder. When eating the dead was considered medicine. Imagine walking into an apothecary in the 1600s. You're feeling a little weak, maybe a headache. So naturally, the pharmacist hands you a jar of ground-up mummy. Yes, literal ancient Egyptian corpse powder. Crushed bones, dried flesh, embalming resin, the works. And you eat it. Why? Because back then, people believed that the body retained vital life force, even after death. And if that person had lived a long, strong life, even better. Egyptian mummies were seen as concentrated medicine, especially because they were preserved with bitumen, a sticky black substance that looked a lot like natural healing resin. In their minds, the older, the rarer, the weirder, the more effective. And this wasn't some fringe belief. European elites, kings, queens, philosophers were gulping this down like it was vitamin C. Even artists painted dramatic scenes of mummy hunts in the desert. Forget archaeology. It was a wellness trend. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, some dealers ran out of Egyptian mummies, so they started using fresh corpses from local hospitals. Same look, same texture, slightly less ancient. Number 6. The all-curing ring. 19th century medical tech. Imagine it's the early 1900s. You wake up feeling stiff and sore from head to toe. Your fingers are numb. Your knees creak like rusty hinges. But don't worry, no need to call a doctor. All you have to do is slip on a magical ring. Meet Kimball's anti-rheumatic ring. It was once one of America's best-selling health products. A simple metal band, sold as the ultimate fix for joint pain, arthritis, numbness, rheumatism, and basically any ache you could name. So, why did people think it worked? Because the ads claimed it generated a bioelectric current that flowed through your body and magically restored your energy balance. Yes, really, it sounds like sci-fi now, but back then, it was marketed as hard science. Of course, there was absolutely no medical proof behind it. But in an era before Google and fact-checking, a flashy ad was often more convincing than a doctor. Did the ring actually cure anything? Not even close. But it did do one thing very well. It cured people of their money. Number 5. Snake oil. How a conman became a millionaire. Back in the 19th century, if you were wandering through a fairground in the American Wild West, chances are you'd see something like this. A man standing on a horse-drawn wagon, waving a small bottle in the air, shouting to the crowd, "Just a few drops a day. Goodbye back pain, goodbye headaches, goodbye arthritis. Feel young again, folks." And the miracle cure he's selling? Snake oil. Yes, real, literal snake oil. Also known back then as a magical cure-all in a bottle. And for a while, it was absolutely everywhere. To be fair, snake oil didn't start out as a scam. The original version came from Chinese medicine, made from the fat of water snakes. It actually contained omega-3s and had some mild anti-inflammatory effects. But once it ended up in the hands of Western entrepreneurs, let's just say, things went downhill. Many started mixing up mineral oil, cayenne pepper, maybe a splash of alcohol, slapped on a snake oil label, and called it medicine. Among them, one man stood out, Clark Stanley, who proudly called himself the Rattlesnake King. He traveled from town to town putting on live shows, slaughtering snakes on stage, squeezing out their oil in front of stunned crowds, and then selling the bottles for top dollar. The product, of course, did absolutely nothing. But thanks to his showmanship and slick marketing, Stanley made a fortune. Eventually, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration stepped in to test his so-called snake oil. And what did they find? Not a single trace of actual snake oil. But by then, Stanley was already filthy rich. Number 4. When people used to smoke, to treat asthma. These days, if you have asthma, your doctor might prescribe a bronchodilator, an inhaler, or some kind of breathing therapy. But back in the 19th century, you might have been told, "Here, smoke a cigarette." Not just any cigarette, Mayor. We're talking about asthma cigarettes, also known as Asthmador. What was in them? A dry herbal mix made from things like belladonna, yep, the poisonous kind, stramonium, and a few other mildly sedative plants. Patients were told to burn the mixture and inhale the smoke. Why? Because it supposedly helped soothe bronchial spasms. It was basically the 1800s version of, can't breathe? Just fill your lungs with smoke. To be fair, some ingredients did have a short-term muscle-relaxing effect. But in the long run, filling your lungs with toxic smoke every day probably wasn't the best idea. And it gets worse. Asthmador wasn't just sold as loose herbs. It also came as pre-rolled cigarettes. Which meant, if you had asthma, you could carry a pack in your pocket, light one up, and puff away whenever you felt short of breath. Sounds absolutely wild now, but back then, it was considered cutting-edge medicine. Number 3. Swamp root, the miracle cure, for an empty wallet. Welcome to the late 1800s, a time when being a doctor didn't require a degree. Just a good story and a printing press. And leading the pack was a man named Dr. Kilmer, a self-proclaimed expert in kidneys, livers, bladders, and making money. His signature product? Swamp root. Sounds like an old-school herbal remedy, right? Well, not exactly. It was basically a mysterious brown liquid with unknown ingredients, and some very bold claims. No one really knew what was in it, but the ads promised it could cure kidney disease, back pain, bladder stones, headaches, heart problems, even emotional distress. As for what it actually cured, most likely just one thing: the Kilmer family's financial struggles. Thanks to flashy marketing, fake thank you letters, and glowing testimonials from imaginary patients, Dr. Kilmer turned swamp root into a nationwide sensation. He even opened an official swamp root hospital where people could get free medical exams, as long as they walked out with a full supply of bottles. So, what's the final verdict? Swamp root didn't cure diseases, but it definitely cured the Kilmer's bank account. A classic case of healing through belief. So effective, even modern marketers would say, now that's a textbook case of placebo-based branding. Number 2, the electric belt. Strap it on and be healed. Imagine it's the late 1800s. You're feeling sluggish, tired, low on energy. But don't worry, there's a high-tech solution for that. The electric belt. Just wrap it around your waist, flip the switch, and let the medicinal electricity flow through your body. According to the ads, it could fix just about anything. Back pain, joint pain, fatigue, even bedroom problems. Some models even came with a gentleman's attachment. Because hey, who wouldn't want to feel both healthy and manly? They called it the electric therapeutic belt. and marketers proudly claimed, "This is science, from the future." In reality, it was basically just a metal coil powered by a couple of weak batteries. You might feel a light tingle, and that was it. That was the full extent of its so-called healing power. But in an era when electricity still felt like magic, this buzzing belt still managed to convince thousands of people to buy in. Number 1. Mercury medicine cured everything, except you. You're feeling tired, slight fever, mouth sores. Congratulations. It's the 18th century, and your doctor has just the cure for you. Drink Mercury. Yep, Mercury. That shiny liquid metal we now know is highly toxic. But, back then, it was the go-to wonder drug. A supposed cure for everything from constipation and sore throats to sexually transmitted infections like syphilis. Doctors would hand you something called calomel, a mercury-based compound, and confidently say, "Take this. It works wonders." The result? You might feel better at first, or at least think you do. Then your hair starts falling out. Your gums bleed. Your hands shake. You hallucinate. And eventually, you die. Slowly. Painfully. Even some US presidents took calomel and paid the price with severe side effects. But back then, no one questioned it. If a patient reacted badly to the treatment, doctors thought, "Great, that means the medicine is working." A cure that was slowly killing you, handed to you by a doctor, in a lab coat, with a smile. Honestly, that might have been more terrifying than the disease itself.